Have you ever found yourself in a moment so tense that you felt like the ground beneath you was about to fall away? That's how I felt on a night I'll never forget, alone in the living room, when my son's best friend suddenly appeared too close. His eyes weren't on the clothes I was folding, they were on me, and when his hand touched my thigh, a wave of confusion swept through me. Why hadn't I stopped him? The question wasn't just what he wanted from me, but what I wanted from myself. I'm Sienna, a woman in her early 40s, married to a husband who seemed to have forgotten me, never making time for me. My son, Charlie, was 17, active, friendly, and full of that youthful energy that made the house come alive. He'd just started college, but he still spent a lot of time at home, often with his close-knit group of friends. One of those friends was Thomas, 19, tall, with an easy confidence and a mischievous smile. Thomas had been a part of our lives for years. I had met him countless times, always polite, always respectful, never one to overstep his bounds. Or so I thought. It had been a quiet night. Charlie had gone out to get pizza, promising to be back in 20 minutes. The house was silent except for the soft hum of the city outside and the faint crackle of a candle burning on the windowsill, the faint scent of cinnamon that made the living room feel warm and homey. I was folding laundry on the couch. The soft cotton slid across my skin, a familiar rhythm of small comfort amid the growing heaviness I felt in my chest. Thomas sat next to me. His presence was closer than usual. The air between us was slightly different. The way his leg brushed against mine, the way his gaze lingered not on my clothes, but on me. It was as if the room had drawn us into a bubble, separate from the rest of the world. I noticed the way the dim light caught a soft curl of his hair, the slight tension in his jaw as he looked at me, expecting something I wasn't sure I was ready to give. I told myself it was nothing, just a friend being friendly, but the silence between us told a different story, my mind racing with questions and doubts, my heart pounding louder with every breath. Thomas was my son's friend, a part of his life. What we were about to cross wasn't just a boundary. It was a line drawn in the sand of family and trust. And yet, despite the warning scream inside me, I couldn't look away. The room felt too small, the night too long, and in that moment, everything I thought I knew began to crumble. Thomas shifted closer on the couch, the space between us shrinking to almost nothing. His hand fell, light and hesitant, on my thigh. My breath caught sharply, the sudden contact breaking me from the calm I had clung to all evening. For a moment I wanted to pull away, to push his hand away and tell him it was wrong. But my body betrayed me. It didn't move. "Sienna," he said softly, his voice quiet but manly. "I know you're thinking about how wrong this is." The weight of his gaze pinned me to the spot. "Thomas, you're my son's friend. This can't be. This shouldn't be." He didn't let go of my hip. Instead, his thumb traced slow circles over the inside of my thigh. "I've been thinking about this for a long time, ever since I met you." The room spun, the words sinking deep inside me. Had I been blind all this time? Had I missed the signs, hidden behind his easy smiles and polite greetings? Just sitting still, his hand touching mine tightened for a moment, a silent plea. "I can't help it. My marriage was strained, my husband distant, and Charlie growing up fast, slipping into his own world. Thomas's presence was a spark in the darkness, a dangerous warmth I didn't know I needed. "I shouldn't be here," I whispered, looking away. "But part of me wants this. even though I know it's wrong. Thomas's smile was soft, almost sad. Sometimes the things that feel wrong are the things we want most. I closed my eyes, fighting the storm inside me. The house was silent. The only sound was the steady rhythm of our breathing. Part of me screamed at me to stop, to protect what little balance I had left. But another part, a quieter, more vulnerable part, craved the connection I was denying myself. "Do you think Charlie will suspect anything?" I asked, the question escaping before I could stop it. Thomas said, "No, but I'm afraid of what will happen if you find out, or if you tell him." The thought was terrifying. I loved my son so much. How could I face him, knowing what I'd done, knowing what I was going to do? His hand moved higher, brushing the curve of my thigh. I bit my lip to keep from screaming. "Why now?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Why, when Charlie wasn't here?" His vulnerability opened something in me. I wanted to rage, to push him away. Instead, I found myself leaning in, drawn by the danger, the forbidden thrill of it all. "Promise me this won't change anything," I said, my voice shaking. Thomas looked at me openly and sincerely. "I promise. But I can't promise I won't want more." That night, the line we swore we'd never cross was broken. The guilt came later, crashing in with the dawn. But in that moment, with the city lights flickering outside my window, I wasn't just a mother or a wife or a woman trying to hold it all together. I was someone else entirely, someone alive and hurting and afraid of what would happen next. And I had no idea how to stop it. The days after that night were like walking on thin ice. Every moment with Thomas was tense. Every look in my eyes was waiting for something unsaid. But the most haunting truth wasn't just the secret itself. It was what it revealed about me. I was no longer just his son's mother. I was something else. A woman hungry for connection, but drowning in guilt. One night, a week later, Charlie called me from his dorm. His voice was bright, but there was something exciting about it I'd never heard before. "Mom, Thomas, and I are coming home this weekend. We're thinking about hanging out. Maybe watching the game on TV." My heart sank. The thought of Thomas made my skin crawl and my stomach churn. I forced myself to keep my voice level. "That sounds good." When Thomas arrived, the air between us was tense, like a taut string about to snap. Charlie came out clutching something, and the house seemed too quiet, too empty for the secret bubbling just beneath the surface. Thomas looked at me, searching. "We can't keep doing this," he said quietly. I nodded, feeling the weight of his words settle. "I know. This is a line we've crossed, and it breaks everything." Suddenly the door creaked, and Charlie walked in, laughing at some joke they'd shared earlier. His presence was like a spotlight, exposing the shadows I'd been hiding in. That night, as I lay awake, the truth hit me with brutal clarity. I wasn't just betraying my husband or my son. I was betraying myself. It had all shattered in that reckless, impossible moment with Thomas. The silence between us was defensive. Thomas's touch, once electrifying, now felt like a scar. I realized that desire was the enemy. I found myself thinking about Charlie's face, his trust, the way he looked at us both. How could I reconcile the love I felt for my son with a secret that threatened to tear us apart? How can you carry a truth so heavy, so dangerous, and pretend the world is the same? Thomas reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "We can't," I whispered, his eyes filled with something I couldn't name. Regret, hurt, maybe even sadness. I never meant to hurt you or him, but the damage was done, the lines blurred beyond recognition. That night, I looked in the mirror and barely recognized the woman looking back at me, torn between devotion and longing, strength and weakness. I realized then that some truths never have a clear ending. They come with questions that echo, with wounds that heal over time, and with silences that say everything we're too afraid to say out loud. I didn't know what would happen next. All I knew was that my world had changed forever, and there was no turning back. In the weeks that followed, my life became a fragile silence, like I was walking through a fog where everything was familiar but distorted. Thomas and I kept our distance, though the memory of that night lingered like a secret melody, haunting and beautiful and impossible to forget. Charlie remained ignorant, and I found myself looking out the window more and more often, watching the world move on without me. Inside, I struggled with the mess I'd made, not just with Thomas or my son, but within myself. The woman who'd folded laundry on the couch, feeling the heat of a forbidden touch, was still there, but she was different now. Wounded, yes, but more awake to the complexities of love and loyalty and desire. Sometimes I'd catch Thomas's eye from across the room and feel the silent apology in his eyes. The silence between us said everything we'd been too afraid to say out loud. The secret had become a shadow I carried with me, a reminder that even the strongest families have cracks, and sometimes those cracks reveal truths we weren't prepared to face. Looking back, I realize this story isn't about right or wrong. It's about the tangled, fragile nature of human connections, about the tension between what we want and what we should have, about the battles we fight within our own hearts.